Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I like that. It's good response. Welcome tonight to our regularly scheduled Monday, February 6th at 7 p.m. town scheduled board meeting. I have asked Reverend Nathaniel Wood to lead us in our invocation tonight. I've asked Sergeant Earl Williams with our police department to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. If you are able, please stand.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day's journey. You have been so good to us. You've been so kind and so merciful. We pray even now that you will bless this town meeting. Thank you for all of these commissioners, and thank you for all of those who serve this wonderful community. We pray that you will have your way. Keep protecting us. Keep strengthening us. Keep the love in the community. We ask you even now to bless all that will be done tonight for your glory and honor. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Everybody join me in pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, I ask that Town Manager Mitchell review the meeting protocol for public participation as it relates to this meeting. Good evening, Manager.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, board members. It's good to be with you tonight. Tonight's board meeting is both in person and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Tonight's meeting contains a public comment period and no scheduled public hearings. The public is invited to comment in person. When it is the appropriate time, Mayor Massengill will call on those wishing to address the town board. All attendees that have appeared in person to address the town board during the public comment period should provide your name and address on the registration sheet by the podium prior to the public comment period beginning. We ask all those wishing to address the town board either during the public comment period or a scheduled public hearing to begin their comments by clearly stating their name and address for the public record. The public is asked to keep all comments to 3 minutes so that all that wish to speak can be heard in a timely manner. To be respectful of those that may have different views on matters addressed by the town board, we ask that all in attendance respect the decorum of the meeting by refraining from clapping, making loud noises, and generally showing support or displeasure for comments made during the public comment period or public hearings. Police Chief Medina will be asked to escort from the boardroom anyone not respecting the process, and it is at the discretion of the mayor as presiding officer of the meeting as to whether or not to continue the public comment and or public hearing period if the meeting protocol is not followed. This concludes the protocol for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Our first item of business are the approval of the minutes from the January 17th, 2023 Town Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the minutes of January 3rd, 2023 Town Board meeting as presented and recommended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our first presentation on the agenda tonight is item 4A, and this is a recognition of the Black History Month stakeholder group. Now, I'm going to be speaking about the two men here shortly that led us in our invocation and our pledge, and I'm very glad that we have a lot of members of our community that are here tonight joining us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize first the Black History Stakeholders Group, and this group helped create our brand new video series. And this new video series comes out tomorrow, and it is called Fuquay-Varina's First, Celebrating Black History. And because of this group's commitment to this project, we were able to launch this series. This series will go out on social media tomorrow, and it celebrates Black History Month, as I had hoped and as the committee had envisioned. And you're going to learn a lot of neat things about a lot of neat individuals in our community. The best way to describe how hard the stakeholders group's efforts were is to show the video that's going to introduce this series. Scott, let it roll, please. National Black History Month is observed every February to celebrate African Americans' many achievements and contributions to our economic, spiritual, cultural, and political development. Last year, I released a mayoral proclamation that declared February as Black History Month in Fuquay-Varina, encouraging citizens to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture. This year, we're taking it a step further. During February, the town of Fuquay-Varina will release a video series called Fuquay-Varina First, celebrating Black history. The video series aims to inform, educate, and raise awareness of African American achievements in our town. It celebrates the impact of Fuquay-Varina's pioneering African American community leaders. In this series, you will learn about leaders like William Freeman, the first Black man elected to the Fuquay-Varina Town Board, and the Fuquay Consolidated School and New Providence Church established in 1860. I hope this series serves as a continuation for our efforts to educate and celebrate Black history. Throughout the history of Fuquay-Varina, African Americans have exhibited bravery and resilience to help shape our town and strengthen our community. The town of Fuquay-Varina is proud to honor Black history and its influence in our community. I hope you enjoy this month's video series, Fuquay-Varina's First, celebrating Black history. Great stars that are in the video that are going to be airing each of the 7 series. And so each of y'all got to see a little piece of what's coming up. And obviously, some of you recognize yourselves or recognize your friends or family members that are here tonight. And I have got to see each of you's whole video, and it's very exciting right there. And they will start airing tomorrow here in our town. So our stakeholder group met several times this past fall, brainstorming ideas, coming up with a legwork plan. And when I say legwork, figuring out the best plan of action, who were going to be the first, and who could get in touch with the relatives of the first or had the relationship to know the facts behind the matter. And so this great group we all set the vision and course, and I appreciate efforts very much. So let me tell you who this group was made up of. This group was made up of elected officials consisting of Commissioner Bill Harris and Commissioner Brian Haynes that are up here on the board with me, a variety of community members, and I ask that you stand if you're able to, please, that are here tonight. Some of you may not have been able to make it, but the ones that are in this room. Katina Bunn was part of it. I think I seen Katina. There's Katina. Okay. Sorry, Katina. Cassandra Flowers. Cassandra's with the Cultural Arts Society of Fuquay-Varina and one of our Board of Adjustment members. Orlean Burt Newton. She's with our Fuquay-Varina Downtown Board and our Fuquay-Varina Museums Board. Carl Trice is the owner of Trice Funeral Home. Carl, thank you for being here tonight. And Glenda Evans Walston, who's very involved in community work. Glenda, thank you for being here tonight. She works with Meals on Wheels and various programs at St. Augusta and United Methodist Church. And we also had a variety of town staff members that helped us out also at the same time and part of our stakeholder group. Town staff members, if you would please stand as I read your name. I know I've seen each of you here tonight. Gabe Briley, Solid Waste Management Superintendent. Gabe has been with the town for over 26 years and passionately works his job and passionately coaches basketball here in our community. And we have a ball coaching, we'll call it together, against each other's teams and have fun with that. Maureen Daly, who is here with our Art Center director. Maureen was instrumental with helping us put together information on this. Maureen, thank you very much. Mark Matthews, our assistant town manager. Mark, thank you for helping staff to be together. Tony Smith, right here in the second row, is our Parks and Maintenance Crew Leader. And this past December, at our annual employee Christmas luncheon, we recognized Tony for 30 years with the town. So that's you, 35, okay. 35 with the town. Well, let me cut those years off on you, Tony. Thank you, Tony. Earl Williams led us in the pledge earlier. He is a police sergeant, been with our department for 10 years. And Susan Weiss, our communications director, right here. Susan is one I started brainstorming ideas with last January, and said, you know, I would like to do something different this year to celebrate Black History Month in a way that we can recognize ones in our community and do something, make something of it. And so Susan and I talked many times about ideas and helped me put together a stakeholder group. So Susan, thank you very much for your involvement. You know, the video concept is very straightforward. Its purpose is to inform and educate, make people aware of pioneering African Americans in Fuquay-Varina. Let the public know. Some of us, like myself, has not lived here as long as Carl has lived here, but you might have had 2 years on me, Carl. But the importance of the achievements that have happened here, and so thank you for that. And tonight, there are some of these pioneers that are in the room. I want to recognize the pioneers that are here with us today. Forrest Newkirk here today. Forrest, will you stand up, please? So our first Black volunteer firefighter. Forrest, thank you so much for being here. Carl Trice Funeral Home is our longest running owned Black business in Fuquay-Varina. Carl, that's huge. Sir?
Almost 70 years.
70 years. You've done great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Some of these pioneers that we recognize also are no longer with us, and so we asked family members, and that was part of our journey, is finding family members and connecting with representatives to speak on their behalf. And these folks played a starring role in the videos you saw aired earlier with the just some screenshots right there. And so let me recognize some of the first here. I asked Reverend Nathaniel Wood, who is a local pastor at New Providence Church, earlier to lead us on our invocation. This church was established in 1860. And it's the longest running African American church right there. And so, Reverend. Thank you for being a part of the video series. We have Geraldine Perkins, who is the daughter, and Aaron Brown, who is the son, who spoke on behalf of James Brown. I know that you're here today. James Brown was the first Black police officer, and I want y'all, if you to stand, please, because also with you have Mr. Brown's wife, and you're pretty much your whole family came here tonight to support you too at the same time. So that is incredible to have you here tonight. Thank you for being a part of the video. Ralph Joyner, I did not see Ralph here tonight. I don't believe he was able to make it, but Ralph is the alumni president, and he spoke on behalf of Fuquay Consolidated School. So Ralph, thank you. Billy Freeman and Robert Freeman, sons, on behalf of Dr. William Freeman, spoke in the video. And Dr. William Freeman was the first Black man elected to the Fuquay-Varina Town Board of Commissioners. So congratulations and thank you for these two individuals too, even though they could not make it tonight. These important stories are part of our community and part of our heritage, and it's important for everybody to know, as I mentioned earlier. We have amazing studios and Mike Cole here tonight. It's our trusted video partner who's done great work within the community, and so we look for Mike to help highlight our individuals in the video and make it come to life. And Mike, thank you and your company for being involved and helping the whole team for making this turn out great. Tomorrow, stay tuned, Fuquay-Varina's First, celebrating Black History will air, and that's when everybody's going to be able to see the videos. Our communications team will be posting one video every Tuesday and every Thursday to promote them right there and so that the public can see them coming out. These videos will be housed also on our town website at fuquay-varina.org and on YouTube. And so these videos are ones that not just only during Black History Month will they be there, they'll be there for the future also. So anyone that wants to learn about our community can go there and see them and learn about these videos. You know, the Fuquay-Varina first series is a beginning. This is not an ending. This was never intended to be a one and done and do nothing else in the future, but instead a starting point. And I look forward to building on this series in the future and continuing to grow and celebrate the incredible achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our community. This stakeholder group will continue to meet. You may not know that's what you're signing up for, some of you, but I will be looking for you to continue to meet in the future and to continue to build on this and do something again next year. And I appreciate all of your hard work in putting this together, helping everybody recognize the first in our community, the ones that needed to, and how we can continue to recognize more individuals in the future. Susan, I said earlier, thank you very much for assisting me and helping me put together the stakeholder group. You really helped facilitate this with me, so thank you also very much, and the entire group. Thank y'all. Would love for you to, anyone that wants to stay for our entire meeting tonight is welcome to stay for our entire meeting tonight, but before you get to leave, that's what I was trying to Susan, not let them run off. I'd love for everybody to come up here and if we do a big group picture together, that would be appreciated. Then you can leave if you want to leave, but you can stay the whole meeting if you're able. Everybody come up here and we'll stand with them. Okay. Just let everybody come up here if you can, and we'll take a big picture together. Damn, I'm so sorry. I was looking for you. I'm so sorry.
Let me say thank you to the staff for observing us. We certainly appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
She dressed me. Just give her a thumbs up.
All right.
I want to make sure
Okay, we got to tighten up a little bit, she said.
Trying to do 2 roads if we
Everybody squeezed in.
Might get a little better.
All right.
I got it, brother.
Everybody's happy?
Yep. All right. 1, 2, 3. I'll take a couple. All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Proud of your brother also. Yeah. I've been a major with the sheriff's department. It's pretty cool.
you know you have to work.
Yeah, this one's major sheriff's department right now. I was having lunch with the sheriff about 2 weeks ago. And I said, can I ask you about a man I used to be with the sheriff's department beforehand? I know he campaigned for you. He said, that's my major. He said, Greg. I said, that's great. So then we had an event last week and ran into Greg at the sheriff's department. And I called him the day the sheriff told me congratulations. It's like, oh, it was really cool. And I don't know if you remember when I ran into you and your brother at the town concert last fall. Anyway,
Where's that pastor's church?
That's a nice shirt. My wife don't let me.
He does security there?
He does security at Wake, but he goes to church at that church. And,
Next item on our agenda
really good guy.
is a public comment period. At this time, the town clerk will call on individuals that are in attendance and have registered to address the town board prior to the meeting. The public comment period is a time for the public to address the town board about any matter that is not the subject of a, scheduled public hearing. Those speaking are asked to begin by clearly saying your name and address for the public record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes in order that all who wish to speak may be heard in a timely manner. Rose, do you have anybody signed up?
Yes, we only have one, Bill McDonald.
Bill, come on forward. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Town Council. My name is William Bill McDonald, and I live at 1206 Kafka Drive. I'm currently the chairperson of the Fuquay-Varina Community Market. This is a member-owner grocery store, mainly to help local businesses and agriculture, the farmers. We've even had a pro forma report done, and for those of you who may not know that, basically it's a working model of financial statement. But my reason for being here tonight is that we're in dire need of your support. We need people who are willing to help us in various ways. We have over 600 owner members and only 4 people on our board. Everybody else has basically rotated off the board. There are people that are interested, but we can't get them to volunteer. We need committee heads. We need a couple of 3 board members. We need people that volunteer for committees, such as our site search, our outreach program, which includes our volunteering at Pine Acres, which Commissioner Bryan knows about, that we're there. So that's what we need. We need people to help with financial, basically looking at financial stuff. So when we're ready and find a site and put down a down payment and so forth to hold it, to have a financial report ready for getting grants and loans and things of this nature. So we need somebody to help with, or a couple of people with financials. We need somebody for our publicity, our website. Our website is in dire need of upgrading. We don't have anybody that knows how to update websites. So basically, we need people who are willing to help. As I said, the old board has rolled off. We're a new crew with new momentum and energy to see this actual dream come into being and build ourselves a community, basically food co-op. Thank you for your time.
Bill, thank you for coming to our meeting tonight. As I spoke to you earlier at the beginning of the meeting, tonight's record goes into our official minutes. It's also streamed on Facebook and YouTube, and I hope that ones that are at home watching our town board meeting tonight, or read in the newsletter or minutes that come out from our meeting, will hear you, see that you've spoken, and that will be a way of advertising, and may find somebody that wants to be involved and continue to help with your organization. We appreciate what you're doing in the town, and some of the places that you may want to think about finding volunteers, or you mentioned a website, maybe can help out with a website, would be Wake Tech. Wake Tech has a program there with young people aspiring and learning to use, or not learning to use websites, learning how to build websites and doing that for a career path. And so that may be a great way to find some volunteer help or something there. But thank you for coming and speaking.
Thank you for allowing me time this evening.
Yes, sir. Rose, you said that was it? Okay. There are no items tabled from previous meetings here tonight, and there are no scheduled public hearings for tonight's meeting. However, we do have a consent agenda. What is the board's pleasure on items on the consent agenda? Any motions to be made on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve items 8A, B, C, D, E, F, and G of the consent agenda as presented and recommended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. One comment I am gonna make about the consent agenda, we had discussed as a board at previous meetings about community appearance, and so I'm glad to see 3 areas on our town, and all 3 different locations in our town, so not necessarily to one certain location on our town, of where a abatement assessment is requiring, staff went and cleaned up the property, and they were able to bill the landowner back for the costs on that. So thank you, Adam, for having staff proactive in regards to that.
Yes, sir, Mayor, and I would just add that some of these properties, I can't speak to the exact ones right off the top of my head, but I do know that some of these properties have gotten to the point where Wake County is going to be pursuing foreclosure proceedings on them due to unpaid taxes and other liens on the property. So we'll be looking to potentially recoup our investment that we've made to try to keep these properties looking orderly and clean.
And I think it's important, I know that you have staff continue being proactive in that. Our community expects it, and thank you for going for these 3 right here.
Yes, sir.
Next item on our agenda will be administrative reports. Item 10A, budget amendment and project authorization, asset management capital predictor, BA 23-37, for a total cost of $96,498. More information about this will be presented by Assistant Town Manager Matthews. Mark, good evening. How are you?
Evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Pleased to bring to you tonight an agenda item. The purpose of this item is to consider a budget amendment to appropriate funding for capital asset model development in support and authorize approval of the project proposal. So as we've discussed in development of strategic planning at prior town board strategic planning retreats, we have one of our objectives and initiatives in the strategic plan under core value fiscal strength. Objective 3 is to ensure fiscal sustainability and resilience through effective long-term financial planning. Initiative 3 is specifically to perform preventive maintenance and plan for life cycle replacement of facilities and infrastructure consistent with industry norms. And as we've made the board aware, the town has recently implemented tools to support data-driven decision-making on capital infrastructure investment and reinvestment, such as our standing up of the City Works GIS-based work order management system just over a year ago. So now we're getting good data collected on all of our capital assets, as well as our pavement condition survey to really give us a larger volume of data that we're collecting on all of the infrastructure the town has, some of which is 10 years old, some of which is now over 70 years old. And so this information is being gathered not just for its own sake, but to actually inform future investments. Implementation of a managed service asset management lifecycle modeling tool, which is what's before you tonight, is an emerging best practice that we're seeing some more smart city, data-driven communities move to support infrastructure investment planning processes across streets, stormwater, water, and wastewater infrastructure. The purpose of this is so if the town has a need for investing in replacing older water and sewer lines, stormwater infrastructure that may be decades old and is beginning to fail, reach the end of its useful life, as well as our street resurfacing, we can use our work order data. We can use age and condition analysis of the various studies that we're completing so that we can make the best investments to be sure that we are, in the long run, making our dollar investments wise so that we actually have a lower long-term investment cost on maintaining, replacing that infrastructure, and that it meets this board's level of service goals. This tool is exactly that. It's to be wise with our investments. It's to coordinate if a street needs to be resurfaced, but there's a need to replace aging water lines or stormwater infrastructure. Those investments can be coordinated and take place at once so that we're not wasting dollars by reworking it, doing 2 different projects in 2 or 3 years apart. So at the end of the day, the cost of this managed service model, which is actually developing the model, and then running scenarios based on all of the data that our staff collect, will be $96,000, $498 in year one. And in future years, that will be a $57,000 cost split between the general fund and enterprise fund, since it, of course, reflects our water sewer system as well as our other infrastructure. This is a reasonable investment for a community of our size, given the millions of dollars we'll be spending in reinvestment on infrastructure. So with that, the recommended motion before you is to approve the budget amendment BA 2337 and authorize approval of a project proposal as presented and recommended. I'll be happy to address any questions that you may have.
Any questions, board members, at this time? Of course, to this, I'm sure this is one, this will help bring up information and probably help curtail some of the information you have planned for us on our retreat at the same time.
Absolutely.
Is this showing for the future, so, thank you. Okay. Entertain a motion.
Mayor Mansingale, I move that we approve, well, that one, I thank you.
Sorry.
I move that we approve a budget amendment BA 2337 and authorize approval of a project proposal as presented and recommended.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Our next administrative report, item 10B, infrastructure agreement for Saunders Farm subdivision. More information about this item will be presented by Public Utilities Director Wagner. Mike, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I have item 10B, which is the infrastructure agreement for Saunders Farm subdivision. The purpose of this is to consider approval of the infrastructure agreement between Pulte Home Company LLC and the town of Fuquay-Varina for utility upsizing related to the Saunders Farm development. The town is requesting the developer and development to upsize 3,658 feet of water line from 8 inches to 12 inches. Per our current fee schedule, the amount of that is $11 a foot. This agreement would be in line with North Carolina General Statute 160A-320, and there is a fiscal note associated with this in the amount not to exceed $40,238. There are currently sufficient funds in our upsizing water line item. Saunders Farm Development will be extending the red 12-inch water line north to Carolina Gardens and across 55 to the Hidden Valley subdivision. They had proposed an 8-inch water line following through the development to Maud Stewart. The town's currently under a project to extend a water line from down Kennebec Road at the Willow Spring High School to Tram Road. And we have requested the upsizing of the blue section, which is 3,658 feet. So this evening, the management and staff's recommendation is a motion to authorize the town manager to execute an infrastructure agreement between the town of Fuquay-Varina and Pulte Home Company LLC as presented and recommended, subject to the town attorney's approval as to form. Questions?
Any questions for staff? Not?
Well, just a question. Would you go back
Go
to the
ahead, Commissioner
subdivision map again? Now, would you explain the upsizing starts where? I missed that.
Where the red lines and the blue lines connect. The length of the blue line is 3,658 feet.
Right, that's going to be the expansion, the upside.
Yes, from 8 inches to 12 inches.
Okay, all right.
Mike, the value and the benefit of that expansion is what purpose?
It's gonna, when we bring this water line down Kennebec and Maud Stewart, and it's gonna allow water quality, quantity, and pressure to loop through the Saunders Farm subdivision, and we'll have that redundancy going into Hidden Valley up to Carolina Gardens and in the Saunders Farm subdivision.
Hidden that, okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Any further questions? Not? Entertain a motion.
A motion, I move, Mr. Mayor, to authorize the town manager to execute an infrastructure agreement between the town of Fuquay-Varina and Pulte Home Company LLC as presented and recommended, subject to the town attorney's approval as to form.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Other business, item 11A, Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to be rather brief. Do have a few things I want to just share with the board this evening, but as you know, we're going to be spending quite a bit of time with one another later this week at our annual Town Board Strategic Planning Retreat, where there will be a great deal of information discussed with the board over the period of the 2 days we'll be meeting. And so I'll try to keep my comments tonight brief. I did want to make the town board aware that the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department, our regular registration ended for spring youth athletics on January 28th. We had a 21% increase from last year at the conclusion of the regular registration, which is phenomenal. It speaks volumes to the popularity of our youth sports programs, but it will transcend into some discussion at our retreat about what these growth in numbers mean for us in the future. I will say late registration is underway with limited availability in some age divisions. Our Art Center, several exciting happenings this month with our Art Center. Our Downtown Jazz kicks off a 3-month series on this Thursday, February 9th, with the Christian Timbre Quintet and guest vocalist Clint Holmes for 101 years of Nat King Cole. And this will be brought to us by a group that regularly performs at the Lincoln Center and the Kennedy Center. So pretty exciting to have this group in our community. The Zuzu Tanzanian Acrobats will perform before a packed house on Friday, February 9th. Both the school show and the community show are sold out. And the next community theater production of Bakersville, a Sherlock Holmes mystery, will be in the theater, February 16th through the 18th. So if you like mystery, Sherlock Holmes, you might find this play entertaining. You can find information about these and all other programs that are planned at our Art Center on our Art Center website, as well as ticket information. So please encourage anyone you know that might have an interest to please check out our website. Loose leaf collection season is winding down this week and ends on February 10th, and so residents are encouraged to resume scheduling leaf collection with other yard debris by phone or on the town website. And so after February 10th, we're not just going to do the drive-bys. If you have leaf collection or yard debris, call it in and schedule it for pickup. That sometimes goes lost. We're trying to continue to re-educate individuals in our community about the process. Sometimes that goes lost on folks. We do have a season for which we do routine, continual drive-bys, but when that season ends, so that we're not wasting gas money or putting extra unnecessary wear and tear on our vehicles, we do ask that the community call to schedule that pickup when we come pick it up. And in bins, that's correct. So all the information about our process is on our website. Both myself and our 2 assistant managers attended the North Carolina City and County Managers Conference this past week. It was a valuable professional development opportunity that was in Winston-Salem. We attended sessions on topics such as trends in law enforcement, recruitment and retention, and of course the ever-popular North Carolina League of Municipalities legislative update now that the General Assembly is back in session. Over 100 bills have already been introduced, both in the House and Senate, and so the League provided us a snapshot update on that as they continue to be filing bills over the next several weeks. I would also just mention that both Assistant Town Manager Mark Matthews and Jim Seymour were actively involved in the conference. Mark moderated a panel on keeping the community affordable and spoke on the topic of the strategic plan development and implementation. And Jim served on a panel for MPA students on what it takes to be successful in local government. So both of our assistants were very active and involved in this conference, which was good. So I want to just thank the town board for supporting our professional development as well. 3 of us had the opportunity to expand our knowledge base and certainly bring back great information to our community. Our engineering department completed a successful erosion and sedimentation control state audit. This is something that happens periodically, and I have to say that Matt and his team were well prepared. Had a fantastic opportunity to showcase our organization and our ability to manage a stormwater and sedimentation and erosion control program. And so I want to thank Matt and his team for doing an excellent job there. Progress continues to be made on the terms of an interlocal agreement for the water project with Sanford and Holly Springs, Pittsboro, and Chatham County. More information will be presented to the town board at our retreat on that. However, I will just say that tremendous amount of time and hours have been put into this, both by our town attorney and by our staff, to try to make sure that we're getting the best deal possible for the town of Fuquay-Varina. This is a long-term agreement, longer than any of us will be around for. So we want to make sure we try to get this right the first time, obviously. Our finance department continues to make progress on budget development for the fiscal year 24 budget in anticipation for our board budget workshop on April 17th. So remember to make sure you have that on your calendar. That's going to be an important date to begin seeing a glimpse of what is being proposed by management for next year's fiscal operating budget and the 5-year plan. And I will just remind you that we have a very exciting, jam-packed, filled with information and topic town board retreat this Thursday and Friday. You should have all received an email from me yesterday evening on the logistics and details of that. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call me in the next couple of days before we head off for retreat. The project status report is included in your agenda materials for the month of February, and you'll see how we're making progress on a number of projects that have been budgeted and in the works for this fiscal year. I do have an interdepartmental transfer report that is included in your agenda materials. North Carolina statutes and our budget ordinance authorize me as your manager to transfer funding between departments in an amount up to 10% of a total departmental appropriation, but it also requires that I report on that. $20,000 was transferred from the Dupree Department to the Streets Department to align fuel budget for street sweeping equipment moved to that department. So this equipment and associated maintenance cost was transferred during the fiscal year 23 budget process. However, the fuel budget was not transferred. So those monies have been shored up, and I have reported that to you with this memorandum. Additionally, we have, again, I mentioned a few events at the Art Center on February 9th and February 10th. And then, and so perhaps I incorrectly spoke, the Zuzu African Acrobats will be on February 10th. The Downtown Jazz 101 Years of Nat King Cole will be on February 9th. Coffee with a Cop, Brews on Main on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Again, I mentioned the Sherlock Holmes Mystery at the Art Center, February 16th through the 18th. And then Life is Magic, illusionist Joshua Lozoff, will be at the Art Center February 25th. And then the State of the Town Address will be presented by Mayor Massengill at 6:30 p.m. on March 6th, right here in this room. And very excited about what's to come with the State of Town Address. I'm happy to answer any of the questions the town board may have. That concludes my comments for this evening, Mr. Mayor, and I'm excited and looking forward to meeting with all of you later this week.
Be 3 days of very, very busyness.
Yes, sir.
That's right. Thank you. Okay, any questions for management or staff at this time, board members? Okay. All right, moving to town board member comments. Commissioner Gardner, any comments?
Just another thank you to all of those who served on the Black History Month stakeholder group. I think this is very exciting, Mayor, this new initiative, and look forward to seeing the videos as they come forward the rest of the month. And especially thanks to the staff members who have served on this committee, and to our own assistant town managers who shared their leadership expertise with our other municipalities and county governments across the state. We appreciate you and appreciate your doing that. It's an exciting time. I'm looking forward to retreat. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gardner. Commissioner Harris, any comments?
Just a few comments and announcements. I just wanted to make a few announcements. I ditto what Commissioner Gardner said in regards to the stakeholders group. I think it's going to be a very positive step forward for the entire community, and I look forward to the videos because of what it's going to highlight. I think it's important to share history. It brings a greater understanding, and I think it will, in turn, in some aspects, strengthen our community. So thank you. Just a couple of announcements of the North Carolina League of Municipalities, and I don't know if we've had anybody to register for the town and state dinner. That's February 22nd.
Mayor Massabill and Mayor Pro Tem intend to attend, yes, sir.
Okay, good. And the next thing is the legislative goals that have been discussed by the league, and feedback has been received from towns and cities throughout North Carolina. Those goals have been approved, so the league is going to start working on those goals. I think that's important to be aware of what collectively cities and towns throughout the state have identified as key issues relative to local government. So that's going to be important. I also had the...
Commissioner Harris, I don't
Yes.
mean to interrupt, but I just want to make one comment
Sure.
tagging along to that.
Sure.
I emailed the town board the goals that Commissioner Harris had carried forward on behalf of the town. Of the 10, 9 of those ended up in the final grouping of the league's legislative goals. So our goals very much align with that of which the league will be advocating for this session.
I'm glad you made that point. That's
Yes,
a
sir.
very good point. Thank you, yes. Attended the ribbon cutting for Congressman Wiley Nichols. His office is located in Garner, and he's going to be available locally in Garner, and then, of course, his Washington office as well. So we did that. And that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Commissioner Haynes, any comments?
Yes, two quick things. I had a meeting with a local middle school student this week. He was part of Troop 444. It was interesting. Well, I think he's actually in high school now. He had questions trying to get his merit badge about infrastructure. So he was able to ask some questions about infrastructure, some different intersections in town. That was just interesting because he says he's now just got his driver's license. So he had questions about different intersections. One was Judd Parkway and 401 right there at the community center. So it was great just to hear his zeal about actually. And then he asked a question. He was like, "How can young people participate in local government?" Which it was interesting for what we'll be talking about some at board retreat. And I told him, I said, you're never too young to come to speak to town board. Is all. So that public comments is for you as well. So that was interesting, as well as I wanted to shout out Troop 75 out of the American Legion, who they actually went around and collected over 1,000 pounds of food this weekend for people in the town of Fuquay-Varina. So that was amazing. I met some of them and some of their scout leaders. So that was definitely a great thing that they went out and spent their whole weekend when they can be doing so many other things and collected over 1,000 pounds of food. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Been busy. Thank you,
Great.
Commissioner Haynes.
Great.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith, any comments?
Just one quick comment, Mr. Mayor. I had the opportunity back on the 26th of January to represent the town at a ribbon cutting for Triangle to Coast Realty. And the neat thing about it to me is that as much as we have going on from a real estate perspective, that you've got another company who's done their market analysis and still think there's plenty left to do here. And so I was just impressed with that they've invested a lot of money in a nice office and are going to camp out here and make a home here in Fuquay-Varina in the real estate business. So enjoyed being there and represent those folks, and kind of find out the person who owns it and our distant kin through our connections in Andrew, through my father's side of the family. I thought that was hilarious. And they knew my dad, her mom and all them did, so it was kind of funny. So I really enjoyed being there. So that's all I got, except I'm worried about this retreat because we've had such short meetings. I think you've probably got a lot planned to make up for it.
I would get a good night's rest on Wednesday.
That's what I thought.
I always forget something. I had the privilege of attending a ribbon cutting too for No More Tumble, and this is a man and his family. He has one patent that he has attained, and another one pending. For the No More Tumble is for a device that helps when you're laundering athletic shoes and that kind of thing that go ka-thunk in the dryer. And it was really interesting, but he just his other career has been in signs, making signs, and he's been doing fine with that. But their whole family now is headed with this new venture, and they're making them here in Fuquay-Varina. So he's brought his creativity and his, working on his patents, and the whole family's involved in the business. And they're now trying to create a track record for something to follow, maybe like an appearance on Shark Tank. So it was really exciting and fun to hear they'd come here from Florida, and it was exciting to meet this family that's come here to stake their claim and on their future, and they've chosen Fuquay-Varina, the area. So it was really interesting.
We'd love to see him on TV, anyone from Fuquay-Varina, especially.
Wouldn't that be great?
That's right. That's great. Thank you. Representative, do you have anything else to add?
Yep, that's me. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. A few comments to make tonight. One, Manager, I believe you're hosting all of the municipal managers and county manager coming up here in Fuquay-Varina.
This Wednesday, we're hosting the bi-monthly Wake County Municipal Managers Lunch Meeting. We'll be having it at the Hilltop Needmore Town Park and Preserve Clubhouse. So we'll have an opportunity in front of all the municipal managers in Wake County to thank County Manager David Ellis for gifting us the land for the Hilltop Needmore Park. And yeah, we're very excited. There's the county manages the agenda, so we've got a full agenda for this lunch meeting. But we're hosting here at our location, our site. So I'm going to showcase Fuquay-Varina a little bit here.
That's good, and what I've always encouraged you beforehand too, when you go to those meetings, you hear from different as you're networking and learning from other municipalities and places in the county, and when they start talking about something good and one of their departments we can still employ always if you got an opening.
That's right.
Not to replace, we got great staff, but when you got openings, that's where you can find somebody from. So
Yeah.
that's right. An important thing that's in our agenda information tonight is, you spoke on some highlights of the project status report, but I encourage the public that's on our town's website with our agenda package each time. And in fact, I was having a meeting with some citizens earlier today, and they were asking me questions about different projects in our town. And so that's why I encourage anybody here, point our citizens to that project status report. It shows a whole abundance amount of, for instance, construction and traffic projects that are coming online this year, Matt. You've been talking a lot about that. And the information is there, and so as the public asks you questions on there, you can always look back at those status reports and encourage people there. So there's a lot of information right there, and I know sometimes it's easier for somebody to call you than to look there, but that's where you can find the information at easily too at the same time for real-time updates, and y'all update that every month. Isn't that correct, Adam?
That is correct, yes, sir.
Tomorrow morning, the Chamber is putting on an economic development forum tomorrow. It's got a panel of speakers there. Tiffany, I believe you are a speaker, and Pam, your assistant director, is a speaker there tomorrow, and Dawn is a speaker. That's right. See Dawn in the audience tonight. Yes, and the Chamber's putting that on tomorrow, and so you might go into that tomorrow. I'll see you there also in regards to that. You mentioned debris collection and the timing of that changing and how debris needs to put up. We made a video about that last year that tells the public, and so the public has a question about how to do their debris. Tracy, they know where to look and find that information out, right? There has been a variety, the whole board's been busy with a variety of different events that have been going on recently. And one of those items was our park master plan input session. I know I saw several board members out at those different events, and so there's a lot of good community input and the polka dots in regards to what areas are stuff we're talking about at retreat. I'm sure we'll be bringing it up at the same time in regards to that. Chief, you promoted 2 officers to sergeant since our last meeting, and that was a great turnout right there, and they were very excited for that. I know they're going to do a great job in regards to that. And you may have seen it last week in our local news, but there was a young man who had his 9th birthday, and he can't leave his house due to medical reasons, can't leave his house, and so he asked the fire and police department to put together a drive-by to his house right there. And so they came, and I was fortunate enough to get to tag along also. And so they had lights going, sirens going. I think all of Fuquay-Varina didn't know what was going on in regards to it, but it was a positive interaction. And this young man really enjoyed that. And I really appreciate these two departments doing that, because you could tell the smile on his face, and it really meant a lot to this young boy there. So thank you for each of your departments for what y'all did there. That was a really big highlight for this young boy. No further comments. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Get ready to be working very hard.